Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about AI, ChatGPT, and how they affect real estate. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, share the video, etc. Once again, I want to point out we're wearing our Naval Academy sweatshirts because this is Army Week. We play Army-Navy game will be Saturday. So if you're watching this after the Army-Navy game, you already know what happened, so don't tell us because we don't know yet. Okay? All right. Oh, other thing too, if you somebody already said they were going to send me an Army sweatshirt or t-shirt, but if you send me Army swag, I will wear it in a video. Because if you don't know the backstory, I'm a Naval Academy graduate, so I went to the Naval Academy. So the Army-Navy games are a big rivalry.
There you go.
Okay.
So Todd is begging for swag.
I'd like some swag. We can negotiate other videos. Oh, and if Army loses or if Army wins, I'll do any video topic you want me to do.
All right.
On the blog. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So we decided to do a video about AI, and I wasn't really sure what the topic should be. So I went into Chat GPT, which is an open AI product. It's a thing that they're working on. And I typed this in. I need an idea for a YouTube video about real estate and artificial intelligence. And this is what it came up with. One idea for a YouTube video about real estate and artificial intelligence could be to explore how AI is being used in the real estate industry to improve the buying and selling process. That's one. For example, you could discuss how AI is being used to analyze large amounts of data to help identify potential properties that match a buyer's specific criteria, or how it's being used to predict the value of property based on various factors such as location, sizes, features. You could also discuss how AI is being used to assist with tasks, such as creating virtual tours of properties, providing personalized recommendation to buyers, and automating parts of the contract negotiation process. Overall, the goal of the video could be to highlight how AI is making the real estate industry more efficient and effective for both buyers and sellers. Nowhere in there did it say anything about helping real estate agents. It was only about helping buyers and sellers.
Well, but it is. I mean, it's helping everybody throughout the process, right?
Right.
So, for example, for buyers, buyers fill out their loan application. All the information gets fed into an AI, and there are mortgage companies out there that are now using AI, and they are using the AI by feeding them this information, and then the AI is looking at hundreds of loan products. They're looking out into the future and amortizing and prorating things and playing out different scenarios to see what mortgage product would best work for that particular buyer. You know, as far as real estate agents are concerned, again, AI is using the data that is readily available out there to change the way real estate agents market. So, for example, AI is looking at how long you've been in the home, what the turn times are for that particular type of house in that particular area at that particular price point. They're considering the age and the socioeconomic level of the occupants versus the neighborhood. So they're taking in so many more data points than you or I could, because let's face it, the way real estate agents traditionally market is they stake a claim on a neighborhood or a zip code or whatever, and then they just mail out or they spam out to that area.
It's a mess.
Right. But this is actually much more targeted, so it's much more efficient.
Okay, so let's get granular on a couple of these and talk about some specific things in there, because I've got something fun to share later on.
Okay.
You're going to have to watch to get the fun stuff. Okay. There are certainly some things that we have done historically that we don't do anymore because it's more efficient for technology to do it. Okay. One example, traffic lights. Nobody could argue that if you had a person at every major intersection directing traffic would be a mess, because they're not as efficient as a light system would be. Plus the light system, it tells you have green, you're going to make it, and it tells you to slow down, and it lets a lot of cars go at once. A human would just there would be accidents, it would be a mess, right? Okay. There's a ton of things in real estate that no agent, no buyer, and no seller have the ability to sort of gather all this data and then we have to go to multiple sources to sort of do all this stuff, right? Okay, so let's talk. We're going to talk about selling, talk about buying, talk a little about the process, and I'm going to go into the fun stuff that I pulled because I pulled more stuff with ChatGPT, and it's when I tell people this, they're probably going to be blown away by it. But the stuff I wrote, I'll show you, and then you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe that ChatGPT actually did that. Okay,
so Chat is your new BFF, is what I'm hearing.
Okay, so let's talk about selling. Right now, we're just strictly talk about pricing, okay? There are algorithms. Zillow, Redfin, everyone has an algorithm. And their algorithm just grabs information, but it's not, a good famous line is Zillow doesn't know what the inside of your house looks like. Whereas an agent or an appraiser or anyone can look at pictures and go, oh, and they can make an inference and stuff. AI really opens up this whole pricing because it can take in a ton of different factors that algorithm can't take in.
Right, but the question is still, how will the AI know what the inside of your house looks like? I mean, are they going to have access to your financial records to know how much money you've spent at Home Depot? I mean, how does this work?
It could say, hey, there were some pictures of the house, 3 years ago. I can infer based on that. You can tell it, that you've upgraded your house. Like if you put, hey, I just upgraded the house, it could change the price. What I'm saying is that there are ways to get a better idea of what a house is worth other than just, guessing.
So the question is, how far is this going to go? I mean, are they going to scrape, Instagram, Facebook, and social media in general to look for pictures of your house and see what it looks like? At what point does that, where does the line get drawn? Because I don't know how else an AI would know, to your point, what the inside of your house looks like.
Okay, I don't want to scare people here, but let's say your phone, Alexa, or whatever that listens to you knows that you just spent $25,000 to upgrade your kitchen. Okay, now think about that for a second, because I don't want I don't want people going all Minority Report, right? And going and trying to save the, who are the people in Minority Report who could see the future? Remember what they were called?
I don't remember.
They floated in water.
Yeah, it was the precogs.
The precogs. They're okay. Yes. Go all precog on this. Like they will know exactly how much your house will sell for, what day it will close, and all the terms of your deal. That's not going to happen. Okay, but there's potential for a better selling process, marketing, everything involved in the selling process, because you don't have the limitation of humans who maybe, like the AI would know the best time for it to hit the market. It would just automatically say, hey, we're going to release this on the market at 2:36 p.m. on Thursday. We're not going to do it right now because there's this event on and it's taking, 23 million people are watching it, and statistically 43% of them are likely to want to buy a house in your neighborhood. So we're just going to, right? I mean, it's some weird stuff like that you wouldn't even understand, because that happens right now. Like it's sort of like when you log into Amazon and it says other things you might need is strictly based on what other people bought. That if you bought similar things and then they bought these other things.
Right. So, I completely agree with you. I think that the AI can sit there. Well, the AI can consider certain things. So, for example, they can consider how much competition you have in your area, how many buyers are searching for your type of property. So all of that can be taken into account, which physically would be very difficult for an agent to take into account.
Okay. All of this would a lot of this is proprietary. A lot of it's in MLSs. Some of the data, though, I think most of the data is probably public. Like you said, the AI, I don't know if they call it scrapes it, but what it does like what Google does. It just looks at pages and gets data and grabs and makes inferences based on the data. The other thing too it can do is it can just look at like comps, right? It can look at the comps based on, and it'll, like if it sees a $500,000 house, but it looks at the inside and realizes it's like brand new, and then it reads the descriptions that this home is completely brand new, and it knows that in that area that if it's completely updated, it's worth $25,000 more. It'll set a base of $475. Zillow won't do that because Zillow maybe doesn't understand that that's super upgraded. It just knows it sold for 500, uses a model match. Like we're just talking about those little things that make a difference, because sometimes the little things make the difference in selling the home. Case in point, we listed here, the market's falling, then we drop the price, then we drop the price. And the AI recognizes maybe price is falling and it picks a different strategy that takes that into account, you know, and it tells the humans, no, that's an emotional decision. This is where, you know, either sell here or don't sell the house, right?
Right. It's just like I gave the example of the mortgage, where the AI is playing out different scenarios and helping you choose the best product to suit your needs. It's the same type of thing.
Okay. Let's talk about buying. Futuristic world. The AI has been listening to you. It knows you've been talking about moving to somewhere, right? Getting a house at Lake Tahoe. You talked about it. All of a sudden, this house at Lake Tahoe opens up. It's within your price range you can afford. It serves it up to you, and it also serves up a lender who can do loans for people that are you own a plumbing supply store, and you're selling it, and it knows that, and it can do a loan based on the business sale that you can buy that. Like literally, it can almost tell you, hey, this is potentially a house you would want to buy.
Right.
Or it's like, you know, where you swipe through a couple houses, and then the next thing you know is it automatically knows what you like. And you don't even have to look again. It just starts telling you when something, like, you wouldn't like this, don't worry about that. You don't like that for sure. This one you might like though, check it out.
So wait until that applies to Tinder, right?
That applies to Tinder. No, okay. You're going to laugh, but the AI does a pretty good job of searching images and does a good job of getting that. I think in X number of years, dating is going to be completely changed, because I literally think it'll be able to say, like, you two would be perfect for each other. You don't even know. I'm just going to connect you. Like, here's a person, like, you watch the same shows. You're both on season 3, episode 4 of, you know, this thing, Breaking Bad, right? And you both laughed at this, like, you both laughed at the same thing that happened in the series that nobody else laughed at, but you both found it funny. So you guys would probably get along. I think some of this is bizarre. Okay. Let's talk about the process of real estate. There's a lot of goofy things.
Right.
Most of them are paperwork. And then some of them are these steps you have to go through, right? We us as agents and people within the industry have made everything, tried to make it boilerplate, right? You look for houses, you visit it, you make an offer, you have disclosures. That whole process, though, could be, you know, you could literally simplify it to, why would you even see it if, like, okay, it's listed for 1.6 million. It's a super nice house, but you know for sure it's not worth that. You don't know why it's listed for 1.6. You would pay 1.5 for it. So you basically wouldn't go see it if you couldn't get 1.5. Like the whole, stopping you from seeing houses or writing offers on houses you wouldn't get. Things like that. I mean, stuff like that could happen.
It could. You know, I happen to think that that's very limiting, but I think the idea is to promote efficiency. But humans are irrational.
Super irrational.
So I think that's something that the AI is going to have to account for in some way.
Okay.
Because, I mean, how many times, you know, kind of to your point, you know, you both laugh at the same thing, you both should get together. And, you know, we all know people that are just night and day, right?
Right.
And they've been together for 30 years and whatever, and life is good. So I think that's something that AI is going to have an interesting time negotiating and kind of sorting out. Either you have to be really close together, or, you know, just far enough apart to make it work. And it's kind of the same thing with homes too.
Okay.
You know, it has to be exactly what you want, or this bizarre combination that would still work for you.
Yeah. Contract negotiation process is a back and forth. You know, there's an offer sent, there's a counter offer. Sometimes it's accepted, sometimes it goes back and forth. One of 3 things can happen. It can be accepted, it can be countered, or it can be rejected.
Right.
The problem with that process, one of the problems is that we know practically is that you're making an offer in the middle of a contract negotiation, or, you know, you're trying to gain leverage in a situation where maybe there's no other offers, and you're trying to, You're trying to have a better way to do this than this back and forth craziness, because maybe you can agree on all the terms but one or two, and then the AI can sort of recommend a solution. Like an AI would recommend, hey, this is what you guys should do. Because I know it's important for you, I know it's important for you, so this would be how it could work for everybody. Because sometimes the agents and the buyers and sellers can't figure that out.
So do you envision a time where my AI and your AI are going to negotiate the transaction for the sale of a house, and the humans are not even involved in the negotiation?
Yeah, and this is why. At some point, if you look at a curve of possibilities, it's usually, it follows the shape. And at the top is you could call it total optimization or the highest utility, whatever. And that's the point at which that's the best you're going to get. And then you would be dumb to not take that. Like that would be like if you were picking stocks and you sold like you bought exactly at the bottom and sold exactly at the top. You wouldn't want to do it manually. You would just want the computer to do it. Because if you hit enter at the wrong time, it could drop like 0.02, and that could be $300 that you gave away because you didn't do it right. I'm just saying, I see a future in which AI does a ton of stuff for us, and we let it because there's stuff we're inherently not good at, and especially with the mortgage process. Because here's another thing: the mortgage loan. This is going to affect, I think, mortgage loans first, because I think they're going to use this to analyze a person's finance and give them a custom loan, not one of these stupid, okay, for 30 years, you're going to pay exactly $2,247.38, right? But let's say you just got hired to be a pilot at Delta Airlines, and you're going to be a first officer. But it knows that in 4 years you'll be a captain on the Airbus, and then in 15 years you're going to be a captain on the 767, right? Why would it give you a loan program where you just pay $2,000? Maybe it would modify your program. Maybe you pay a premium for that, so you can pay $1,200 instead of 24 or 22 now. But then in the end you pay a little more, right? But the AI knows this because it knows what you do for a job. It knows that people, when they get that specific job, they tend to stay in it for the whole career or a substantial amount of time. I'm just saying that there's things that could make this a lot easier, and open up homeownership for people,
Right.
in a better way.
Right.
Like I ultimately think this just serves people. It just makes our lives better.
Right. I mean, I completely agree with you. I think that the mortgage process and mortgage products are a really good place to use AI, because it can analyze vast data, and it can predict much more accurately your income and your behavior going forward. So it can help you a lot more. I think that when it comes to more emotional things like choosing a home, like negotiating a transaction, I think that's got a longer way to go, because, like I said, humans are very emotional and not particularly rational. So I think that's a lot more difficult to master. But as far as numbers are concerned, and amateurizing and working out different scenarios and that sort of thing, I think that is something that AI is made for.
Okay, let's talk about AI replacing real estate agents. When the internet first became a thing, 1995, at that time, 70% of all home sales were transacted through an MLS. 30% were still transacted off MLS. Sign in front of the yard was the most common one. A sign in front of the yard, people would just drive by. Of course, homes were cheaper relatively, but that's how homes were transacted, okay? The president of the National Association of Realtors said that within a decade, we will be obsolete as agents. They said this in 1995, because this internet will open up so that you won't need agents. You'll be able to do it all by yourself. Okay, so here we are 27 years later. We've had an internet for 27 years. Over 90% of all home sellers are using real estate agents. So to some extent, it did the opposite effect. Like it made it even more important to have the human, right? More important to have the human than it did before. How do you think that is maybe with AI? Do you think AI maybe is the thing that, makes the agent less relevant or changes the, the way the whole thing works?
So I think it's going to be kind of a paradigm shift, and I know that's kind of a catchphrase, but I think it is. I think just as agents have evolved over time as to what we do, this will just cause another evolution in what agents do. Now, do I think that we will need as many agents as we have now? Probably not.
Okay.
I think we won't need quite as many agents because things will differ, and because I think it will take a higher level of knowledge, professionalism to function in that environment. So I think that's something to really look at, because right now, to become a real estate agent is a very low barrier to entry, right?
It's low to enter the profession, yes.
Right. So I think that it's going to keep a lot of people out that maybe are in there now. I don't think you're going to have part-timers. I think because I think it will become more expensive to be a real estate agent. I mean, it's already pretty expensive, but I think it's going to become even more expensive. So I think a lot of things are going to play in there. I don't envision a time when you're not going to need some sort of a human involved in the transaction, because the buyers and the sellers are human. And that's what I was saying to you before is, well, do you envision just two AIs kind of battling that out? And I don't, because so long as people are emotional, they are going to want to exercise whatever control over their environment. And yes, they want the help of an AI. Like we all want the help of all kinds of tools, but at the end of the day, we still want that control.
If the AIs end up fighting over the contract, the AI that will win is the one that shuts down the server of the other AI remotely, or interferes in it infiltrates the other AI to benefit itself. Okay, I happen to have a little bit, so I'll give you some perspective here. In college in the 80s, I was a computer science major, and we used this. It was actually one of the very first ever machine learning languages. It was called Lisp. It was a string parsing language. The whole benefit of the language was that you could take a string of information and you could basically strip it down and put it back together. And then you could sort of try to make these contextual things. And they really talked about how within 20 years, the machines would be able to think. And it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. That's one of these things where you either overestimate or underestimate. It's like flying cars. Mm-hmm. It's like replacing, having commercial airliners that don't have pilots. An AI flies them, right? Mm-hmm. These things always end up taking longer than we think. Okay, here's the fun thing. If you made it this far and you want to see the fun thing, okay, everything on the video, basically the text on the thumbnail, the text in the description, and I'll put this up here. Write a YouTube video title about AI and real estate, because so on YouTube videos, we have a title, then we have the description. That's all the words in there. And then we have the thumbnail that I make all the thumbnails. But I typed that in there and it said, how AI is revolutionizing the real estate industry. Mm-hmm. I just write a YouTube video title. Well, what's interesting is it knows, because it's AI, it knows that it has to be under 100 characters, which the title can't be that long. So if you look at the video, that's the name of the video, the title. If you go to the description and you read that, no kidding, I just typed in, I need a description for YouTube video for AI and real estate, and it did it. What I didn't tell you that's really fun was we did a video a couple days ago about buying a new home in 2023. And that whole description, I didn't write it. The AI wrote it. Anecdotally, a friend told me that his son is taking a AP history class. He had to write a one-page paper, a abbreviated one-page paper. He also went to ChatGPT and he said, write a one-page history paper on this subject. And he handed both into the teacher and he said, I wrote one and the AI wrote one. Can you tell which is which? And the teacher said they couldn't tell. They both seemed to be pretty natural. Okay. All right. I think ChatGPT is very interesting. Mm-hmm. I think all the AI tools are very interesting. Just like our predictions on inventory and everything else, I agree with you. I do not see this being an immediate change. So if you're expecting that the next house you buy or sell will be heavily AI, it's not likely to happen.
No, it's not. I mean, is AI going to play a significant role in real estate going forward? Yes. It's just going to be very slow. Adoption of something like this is going to be very slow, partly because people are slow to change, partly because real estate agents tend to be over 50.
Yeah, average agent is 53 or 4.
Right, so they tend to be
The
over,
median age.
right, so they tend to be over 50, which means that they are much slower to adopt technology. So there are a lot of reasons why AI is not going to catch on like fire in real estate. You know, the other thing is that while it can write a one-page history paper, it's still a long way from being able to do what somebody who has been in the profession for a long time and is very competent, so just not just length of service, but competence, and is very competent, can do for their client versus a machine.
I think this would be very interesting for the legal part, writing addendums, because you can basically tell it what you want and it'll, go write a, that conforms to, because real estate agents aren't attorneys. So when we write terms, they're just something two parties agree to. But an AI, if you just say, hey, I need agreement to the EMD being non-refundable after this date if this doesn't happen, and it'll basically write out, maybe a paragraph with some caveats in there and we'll go, oh, these are great. I didn't realize we should make sure, because it would know that, maybe other agents had written this or someone had asked, hey, I want this clause in there too, right? I think we're going to see little tools. I think the whole big search process and everything is going to continue for a long time,
right?
Because all the systems are built to do what we do now. And I think that there'll be more electric cars on the road than gas cars before we see AI significantly changing real estate.
I agree with you.
So we're 20 years. We won't be doing real estate then.
So what do you think? When do you see AI playing a substantial role in real estate? How do you see it playing out? We want to know what you think. We're interested in your vision of the future vis-a-vis AI. So please leave us comments. Please be nice to each other in the comments. If you found this interesting, entertaining, or just fun to watch, please like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.
Beat Army.
Beat Army.